I was 67 the first time I remembered how to feel again. Not just the routine tugs of memory, or the daily rituals that make up the scaffolding of a life long lived, but true, unpredictable feeling. The kind that sneaks into your chest when you're not looking, opens a locked window in your soul, and lets in a gust of something you'd forgotten, possibility. My name is Eleanor Barnes. I live alone in a coastal town where the wind always smells faintly of salt and cedar. My husband passed 9 years ago, and though the ache has dulled, grief never quite vacates a place. It simply rearranges the furniture. I've spent most days quietly. Tea in the morning, walking the long path behind the dunes, reading. I smile at neighbors, bake for church potlucks, and every Sunday I wear his wedding band on a chain around my neck. But quiet isn't always peace. And solitude isn't always healing. Sometimes it's just waiting. Everything changed on a Thursday. It had rained the night before. One of those strange summer storms that throws the sky into confusion, all lightning and silver puddles. I had left the windows cracked, and woke to the scent of petrichor and wet linen. For reasons I couldn't explain, I didn't follow my usual routine. I didn't pull my hair into a bun. I didn't slip into my cardigan. I let the silk robe hang off my shoulders, exposing more than I usually would. It wasn't for anyone. It was just me. I walked into the living room where the old record player sat in the corner, collecting more dust than melody, and I turned it on. The sound crackled, unsure at first, then swelled with the opening notes of a jazz record my husband and I used to dance to on Friday nights. I stood there, barefoot on the hardwood, as sunlight streamed through the gauzy curtains, lighting the room in soft amber. That's when it hit me. Not memory but presence. Not sorrow but sensation. I lifted my arms. My hips moved, gently at first, then freer, fuller. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't youthful. But it was real. Danced. For minutes. Then longer. With abandon. The robe slipped further, and I let it. I felt the cool air against my chest, the flutter of the hem, the music inside my bones. It was as if my body whispered, "You're still here." Later that afternoon, I painted for the first time in 12 years. I'd buried my brushes in the attic after William's passing, afraid of what they might reveal. But that day, I dragged the easel into the light. I chose bold colors, ochre, crimson, marine blue. I didn't care if it was good. I only cared that it was mine. That week I did other things too. I wrote a letter to my estranged sister in Maine. I called my son and told him I missed him without dressing it up in small talk. I made soup and brought it to the neighbor I used to wave at but never knew the name of. I began to become again. And as the days passed, I noticed something in the mirror. Not beauty, not youth, but presence. I stood taller. My voice softened but didn't waver. I wore lipstick for the first time in years. Not for a man. Not even for the world. Just because it made me feel seen. It wasn't one moment that changed everything. It was a thread of them, woven gently together, until I had a new story again. Not just a past, but a present. Not just a quiet house, but a humming life. If you had asked me 5 years ago if a woman my age could feel this alive, I would have smiled politely and said something reserved. But I was wrong. We don't age out of passion. We don't retire from self-worth. We don't grow too old for wonder. I know now that some awakenings arrive slowly, dressed as ordinary days. And when they do, all you have to do is open the window and let the light in.